We are back in business. Monday, alebombo muntu. Tuesday, alebombo muntu. Wednesday, alebombo muntu. You know nothing about the Bible, George. But what's funny is you've got an opinion about it. Do these things still work? Woo! Let's do it again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Zambia What a Day. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Dingindaba Jonah Buyoya. There's a story in the Bible, and it's a story of the prodigal son. What was the prodigal son's name? He didn't have a name. He did have a name. Let me check. Prodigal son's name. I know it wasn't Jonah. Prodigal son's name. Son's Nami. Let's see. In the biblical parable of the prodigal son, the son is not given a name. You know nothing about the Bible, George. But what's funny is you've got an opinion about it. Anyway, what's coming up? So over the last few days, you and I have had to endure this terrible story of this family that lost 3 children at the same time. And yeah, they were put to rest yesterday. Very sad story, this one. But also over the last few months, you've also been following the story of Elias Musiani, who was in jail now for cyberbullying. We did a story. We did an investigative piece, which is on This Day Investigations with the Road Transport and Safety Agency, which is available actually on YouTube for you to watch. And this has had its own consequences, and we'll get into that as well and talk about it. Among other stories that we've got coming up. Also very important for us to talk about this, and it's ZESCO. The fact that you continue talking about load shedding. This podcast started because of load shedding, because we wanted to get people to watch. And I can tell you, you can stick around, that load shedding is projected to be with us now until 2028, according to the utility. So there's so much lined up for you. Have I said my name? My name is Dingindaba Jonah Buyoya. I'm your host on Zambia What a Day. What is this all about? Well, we just give you highlights of what's making news around the country and sometimes around the world. The last time that we did this, we had a pope.
Had a pope?
A pope.
Oh, a pope. Oh, yeah. We did. Rest in peace.
What a shame, what a shame. That's a song by Mwiza Zulu. Let's get into it. Let's start off first of all with this sad story, and it's 3 young siblings who died in a house fire in Kabanana here in Lusaka. They were put to rest yesterday. Nathan, Emmanuel, and Subilo Piri. They succumbed to severe burns after their house caught fire last Friday while their parents were away. The father, Emmanuel Piri, during the funeral service, questioned in anguish who would now bring him a spanner as he worked on vehicles. He's a mechanic, and very emotional scenes that you are going to see from this. But I think also just hearing about this story evokes emotion, and this is a sad emotion. A lot of people filled with empathy for this family. Very sad and hard time. And I don't know if there's any word that you can say that is going to be enough to console this family at this time. But I want you to take a look at this.
The handsome boys. That's how the Piri brothers were often described at church, according to a young boy who spoke to Diamond News. Quiet in demeanor and always cheerful. I will never forget them. He added, mourners from all walks of life gathered in solidarity with the grieving Phiri family, who were too distraught to speak publicly. In a speech read on her behalf, the children's mother, Shabina Phiri, said she would deeply miss the cuddles of her babies, who often curled up with her on the couch.
The fire that consumed our house was more just physical and infernal. It was a blaze that devoured our entire universe, living with an aching void that can never be filled. I am consumed by memories, laughters, bedtime stories of first steps, first words, birthdays and holidays, and every milestones in every moment that was shared as a family. Their smiles lit up our day, our darkest sorrows and darkest rooms, and their huge hearts, every better and everywhere, guiding lights and reasons for being and everything.
In his own speech, also read on his behalf, Emmanuel Phiri comforted his wife, assuring her that he would stand by her through this heartbreaking ordeal.
To my wife, our journey started with so much joy on the 17th of December 2017. We hoped we would grow old with our kids, but God had different plans for us and the boys. Today, we have cried, broken by the loss of our beloved boys. I want you to know that in me you shall not only find a husband, but also a friend to walk with from today till the future smiles at us again.
Offering spiritual comfort, Pastor Namitondo encouraged the family by reflecting on the biblical story of Job and his resilience through loss.
There is a reason that a human being will never ever understand. How can God allow Job to have a succession of calamities? How can God allow lightning from heaven to come and strike his enemies?
And Mandevu Member of Parliament Christopher Shakafuswa and Lusaka District Commissioner Rosa Zulu also addressed the mourners, offering their condolences and commending the community for the unity and compassion shown during this tragedy. Meanwhile, Lusaka Province Minister Shao Muliata urged the couple to remain steadfast and strong through this trying time.
Mr. and Mrs. Phiri, ichincolema, nicho baba, nicho dabuisa, ngalire misozi, mulungweka bana banga, nuamini aziba. Psalm 121. I look to the mountains. Where will my help come from? My help will come from the Lord of Israel.
The three brothers were laid to rest at Mutumbi Cemetery. Due to the severity of the burns, there was no body viewing. The parents paid their final respects on Monday. Elfie Mwale Shampande, Diamond News.
I think that one of the things we take away from all of this is just how fragile life is. It's a very fragile concept that you are with these people a few minutes ago or whatever, and you're no longer with them forever. And it's very troubling when you think about then the essence of life. If it can bring so much misery, living can be so painful. And that's, I guess where we are, asking all these questions. And I think that all we can do is wish them strength, and all we'll have to do is wish them well. But the Road Transport and Safety Agency, RTSA, has suspended a driving school that was exposed in a corruption scandal involving issuance of driving licenses revealed in a Diamond TV investigative documentary that's This Day Investigations. And during the agency's quarterly press briefing, the RTSA Director and Chief Executive Officer Emon Mwemba confirmed that several RTSA officers have also been suspended pending investigations into this matter. Let's take a look at this.
A major crackdown on corruption in Zambia's transport sector is underway, following an explosive investigative documentary by Diamond TV. The Road Transport and Safety Agency, RATSA, has officially banned a driving school implicated in a scandal involving the illegal issuance of driving licenses. The revelations came to light in a recent exposé that has since sparked public outrage. RTSA Director and Chief Executive Officer Amon Mwemba confirmed during a quarterly press briefing that several agency officers have been suspended as investigations into the matter intensify.
One of the things that the press should be doing is doing exactly what Diamond did. Investigate illegal activity where it is found, and make sure that you expose it. And once you expose it, report it to the authorities, and we shall do something about it. So, at the moment, we've delayed in issuing a major statement on this so far, because we've been conducting investigations, and so far, the company that was at the helm of issuing these illegal licenses has been banned. We've revoked their license, this driving school. And also we have sanctioned our staff. A few of them are suspended at the moment. And as we investigate, we shall keep the members of the public and you, the press, informed of the ultimate outcome.
But as the agency tackles corruption, the country continues to battle a tragic rise in road traffic accidents. Over 8,000 incidents were recorded in just the first quarter of 2025, claiming 498 lives. In response, RTSA has rolled out AI-powered surveillance cameras mounted on vehicles. These smart systems will detect traffic violations in real time, with offenders receiving instant charges.
What is the price of saving lives? For me, that is the question. Because when you think about it, they will be detecting unfit vehicles. These unfit vehicles, maybe the brakes are not okay, maybe the lights are not working. These will be saving lives. Because if a car is in that sort of unsafe condition, it shouldn't be on the road. So for us, we're not looking at the cost, but we're looking at the number of lives, potentially the number of lives we'll be able to save when we deploy them, and which we have done. Yeah, and I think even the very first ones, the ones we deployed last year, and I think I did brief you on them, the ones that detect speed, they are also AI. So all the equipment that we're getting from now on is AI, because it makes work a lot easier, more efficient.
4% of accidents that were recorded in this quarter were recorded just in the province of Lusaka. And the causes to these accidents are: one, excessive speeding, which accounts for 2,006. So already you can tell that of all the accidents that we are having, a major component of it is excessive speeding, and these are talking of drivers that are in Lusaka. So if a driver you are driving a motor vehicle in Lusaka, be mindful of excessive speeding.
Motorists are already voicing their support, calling the innovation a much-needed step towards safer roads and greater accountability.
I think it's going to help to those that like driving without, putting, necessary things on the vehicle. And then it will also restrict them to drive without having those, licenses and stuff like that. Yeah, I think it's a welcome move, and RATSA has done a very good job.
I think you know include Africa chabe wasonkirere chabe. Yabe chabe mushe. Taiwan twambiro over speeding machita over waningi. Especially on private vehicle munga so. Bamayinza kuyipa waningi mamotoka.
Victoria Kayeye, Yambani, Diamond News.
Well, I don't think I have much to say about this story. Everything that needed to be said was said in the documentary, in the investigative documentary. It's very. One thing I can say is that it's not easy. It's not. It's not easy. It's very tough. But I think that we are also quite resolved to do all of this and continue bringing to light some of these issues that affect us on a daily basis. So if you'd like to watch it, you can watch. We're going to leave. I hope that the people that are going to upload this actually do this. And George, you have to make sure that they put the link in the description so that people can be able to watch this documentary and get a taste of what exactly was going on in there. President Hakainde Hichilema has called on the International Monetary Fund to continue its support in supporting Zambia's economic reform programs. The IMF Deputy Managing Director Nigel Clark paid a courtesy call on President Hichilema at State House, and President Hichilema says he would not want to negate the gains made so far in stabilizing the economy and implementing reforms. They were together at State House, so take a look at this.
A delegation from the International Monetary Fund, led by Deputy Managing Director Nigel Clark, has paid a courtesy call on President Hakainde Hichilema to discuss key issues of mutual interest between Zambia and the fund. During the meeting, the head of state has called for the continued support of the IMF to help sustain the economic gains Zambia has achieved over the last 3.5 years.
We would like to work with you on the Zambia reform program anchored on driving economic growth, sustainable growth. The 3 years we'll be working together into October. We do not want to negate the gains we've made. As Zambia, as IMF, I think we're in this together. And we need to be ingenious, we need to be innovative to make sure that we don't take decisions that would drag us backwards.
Appreciated the good cooperation between the IMF and Zambia in the last 3 years, because 3 years ago, our country was a non-touch country by many economic actors in the world, principally because of the debt and sustainability, but also the economic base was shrinking because of toxic investment climate.
Meanwhile, IMF Deputy Managing Director Nigel Clark has applauded Zambia for the significant progress it has made in restoring macroeconomic stability and pushing forward with critical reforms.
With this tremendous progress that Zambia has experienced, and with the shocks that it has been able to weather in a demonstration of Zambia's resilience, it is going to be important that Zambia continues the reform effort into the future. And the IMF remains committed to working with the Zambian authorities to ensure that these reform efforts that have an impact on people's lives can continue into the future.
The continued collaboration between Zambia and the IMF is crucial as the country moves toward achieving long-term economic stability. President Hichilema's call for sustained IMF support highlights the need to maintain momentum in Zambia's reform agenda. Rachel Mumba for Diamond News.
I think one of the major questions that is there now is we're nearing the conclusion of this IMF program, and the big question is whether or not it has yielded the intended objectives, if it has yielded the intended results. That's what we have to be talking about now. It's coming to an end in October, and the objectives were to restructure Zambia's debt. Has it been restructured? The objectives were to look at macroeconomic performance. Zambia, as of a few weeks ago, according to the IMF, is projected to grow by 6% this year, and that's huge. That's a huge projection of growth by 6%. But I guess the real issue for a lot of people is that economic growth they would like to see is also microeconomic growth, because what we're seeing at the moment is macroeconomic growth, financial indicators that don't exactly immediately translate into much for the ordinary citizen. And because of this, all these people have got these questions, and people have the right to wonder if this was a noble and viable undertaking, especially that it comes with a lot of harsh conditions. And these harsh conditions can have a crippling effect on ordinary citizens. And some of these conditions are minimizing on subsidizing. We've seen the cost of fuel go up, almost doubling in the country. And, so you look at all of these things and how they are going to translate into improving the living standards of citizens, because the cost of living has been going up. While the economy is said to be growing, the cost of living has also been growing, which is not what you logically expect. If the economy is growing, you expect other fundamentals to also improve their standard of living by reducing the cost of living. So there's all these things at play at the moment. But let's talk about one of the major problems we've had this year and last year, starting last year, over the past 1 year anyway. Electricity, access to electricity or lack thereof. And Zambia's power utility, ZESCO, has announced that the construction of the 100 megawatt Chisamba solar power plant is now at 98% completion. And the plant is expected to boost the national grid with clean, reliable solar energy. The MD, Justin Longo, says the project is designed to reduce Zambia's dependence on hydropower and shield the country from the effects of the drought. ZESCO has also confirmed that phase 2 will begin in July and wrap up by May 2026. So one of the things that needs to be talked about quite strongly is the fact that hydro energy at the moment does not have the future to restore our electricity integrity to 24 hours in a day. And I've had conversations with experts within ZESCO who've confirmed that the only time that we expect stable electricity supply in the country is 2028. And that means that load shedding is going to be with us until then. So unless they are drastic, out of ordinary decisions that are made, like importing huge amounts of electricity, which you'll probably see next year because there's an election coming up, and anywhere. It'll be very interesting to see if this government is going to be brave enough to brave the election with load shedding, But what the trend has been, and beyond just Zambia, has been that around an election period, load shedding disappears and people have access to electricity 24/7, largely to appease them and appeal to their desire to vote. And you've seen this here in Zambia before, you've seen it in South Africa, you've seen it in neighboring countries. And I wonder if that's what's going to happen, because ZESCO has made it very clear that the projection is 2028 to end load shedding. And it leaves a lot of questions, right? It leaves a lot of questions because government consistently and its political appointees come out giving timelines that don't tie in with what ZESCO is saying. They'll tell you that load shedding will end in March, and they'll come back and say load shedding will end in June. But the technocrats are saying, no, it's not going to end. We are now at 42% capacity when we talk about Kafue Gorge and the terrain over there, that we're at 42%. Guess what? We were at 42% around this period last year. And so what we've been doing is replenishing to get to that level. And for us to have consistency with electricity, especially that we are depending on hydropower, which has been very inconsistent. I mean, this rainy season also ended abruptly and wasn't as good as we thought it was going to be when it comes to power generation. So if all of this is happening, why are the politicians saying load shedding is ending in June. It's not ending in June, and that's just the truth from the technocrats. I'd very much rather believe the technocrats at this point, although the technocrats are also quite confusing. You know, there was Zambezi River Authority, which was saying that load shedding was expected to end mid-2025. So it's very frustrating, I believe, for citizens. But I think that the message is very clear, if you ask me. The message is very clear from ZESCO. You need to get onto solar. If you want consistent supply of electricity at your home, you need to get onto solar. It's the only way that it's going to happen. Anything else is just you building castles in the air and, you know, fantasies. But if you want electricity, you've got to get that solar. It's the one thing you can bank on. Although you hear, you know, the luck that Zambians have, you hear that the sun is going to be, it will be in nighttime for 6 months or something. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just very difficult to be a Zambian at this point. But anyway, those are the stories that are making news. And thank you so much for joining us. Welcome back. We are going to be there, and we're... Thanks a lot. No. Thank you. No need for all...
Also, the viewers are probably disappointed. There's supposed to be like a boo.
There's no boo here.
No, there's no boo.
Yeah, but anyway, thanks a lot for joining in, and we shall be back tomorrow. We make this commitment that we shall be back. We're back in business. Come on, we're back in business. It's one of those things. We're back in business, and we will be in business for a very long time. So thanks a lot for being with us. Thank you for joining in. My name is Dingindaba Jonah Buyoya, Zambia. What a day.